schedule. Well, for the last week or so, she's really been down for the count. Even the State Department had to acknowledge that the stomach virus was, really hit Secretary Clinton hard. So, the dehydration, the fatigue, everything like that. The fact that she's at home, well, we know Secretary Clinton, she never really stops working. She'll continue to make calls and the such. But the fact that she's not in the hospital right now signifies that her doctors think that, she's out of the woods in terms of any kind of serious injury.
Yeah, I know last week she was supposed to go on an important trip to Morocco. Elisa, you're familiar with this. She canceled that trip, which was highly unusual for the Secretary of State, sending her deputy to Morocco for an important visit to that North African country. I don't know, you've covered her for these last 4 years as Secretary of State. How extraordinary is it that she cancels a foreign visit like this?
Well, I've been covering Secretary Clinton since she started. I've done many travels with her. The only other time she canceled the trip in the last 4 years was when her mother, who she's very close to, fell ill in the hospital and died a few days later. Secretary Clinton, even, when she's not feeling good, she keeps this punishing schedule. Even, she keeps a schedule that even some of the journalists can't keep up with her. She's really always running, always working, always on the job. So for her, last week to cancel this trip was really, really extraordinary, and a lot of people started to talk about, is this a more serious case of something, some kind of illness? But no, we just understand there were several other people on her trip that also fell ill, not as sick as Secretary Clinton, but they said, look, this is a really bad virus, really puts you down for the count, and she just needed a lot of rest, a lot of fluids, and a lot of care.
Yeah, it's one thing to have a virus, Sanjay. Sanjay is here. It's another thing to actually even be dehydrated and faint, but then to hit your head and have a concussion. Now walk us through, because there are concussions and there are concussions. There's various degrees of concussions.
Right, and I'll just amplify what Elise was saying. As you know, Wolf, I worked for her back in 97, 98 when she was First Lady, and she kept that schedule
when you
back
were a
then.
White House fellow.
When I was a White House fellow, and I remember she needed to be reminded sometimes to drink and eat. She would be so into her work at that time. Yes, you're absolutely right. Look, the fainting episode is something that, any doctor would certainly be concerned about. It would make sense that a stomach virus and someone becomes just very dehydrated as a result of that could fit. What happens is you drop your blood pressure. You're simply not getting enough blood flow to your head anymore, and that's typically what causes the fainting spell. It can be a minor fainting spell, but clearly, Wolf, it was significant enough. You think when you fall, you brace yourself with your hand or something like that. The instinct is to protect your head. It sounds like from what Elise is describing, what we're reading is that she was out enough to not even do that. She hit her head either on the way down or on the ground itself, and to cause a concussion. And again, concussion does not mean you lost consciousness. Concussion can simply mean you're a little bit out of it. You may have blurry vision. You may have ringing in your ears. You may have a little bit of a hard time remembering words for a few minutes, things like that. But that's usually enough for to be called a concussion and to get at least an exam, some sort of neurological exam. I don't know. I couldn't tell from what Elise was saying whether she got a CAT scan or anything, but that would be the typical sort of course, Wolf.
Yes, she's being monitored regularly by her doctors, according to the statement. She's at home, so I assume she's being monitored at home by her doctors, as opposed to going to either the doctor's office or to a hospital.
Yeah, and that's clearly a good sign. I think most neurosurgeons or neurologists, if they had a heightened degree of concern, would just say it's just best that you stay in the hospital and we can observe you. But the key is that usually someone they need to check the person every hour or so just to do a neurological exam. That's probably what our doctors are doing.
Walk us through, because this is important. You're Dr. Sanjay Gupta. You get a call, come over to Hilary Clinton, the Secretary of State's house. She fainted. She's got a stomach virus. She hit her head. We don't know what's going on. What would you do? How do you test without going through a CAT scan or anything big like that? Do you put your finger in front of her eyes and have her move around?
Yeah, that's as simple as it sounds. That is certainly a part of it. First of all, you want to address the fainting thing. So she might need some fluids. If she can take it by mouth herself, great. If not, sometimes someone would need an IV to just get rehydrated. That's the fundamental problem. As far as the neurological problem, what a concussion means is the way that you interpret the world has been altered in some way. Blurriness of vision, ringing in the ears, decreased sensation, those sorts of things. So you do exactly what you're saying. Well, if you check eye movements, you check hearing, you ask them questions, you make sure that they're oriented to who they are, where they are, and the time that it is. So these sorts of questions. And after a while, you get a pretty good idea. My guess
is coming out. I assume she's in no situation right now to go up to Capitol Hill and testify.
It sounds like from what her doctor is saying, they want her staying at home for about a week or so. Yeah. So yeah, it sounds like that's going to be inside the window.
Let her rest.